Hello, Balaraba. How are you?
I'm good, Felicia. It's good to see you.
It is great to
And
see you.
how are you doing?
Very well. I'm going to start by introducing myself. I am Felicia Gibson. I'm the Chief Science Officer at PAGS. PAGS is an online profiling and progress monitoring tool. So we have a cloud-based solution for neurodiverse children. And today I am so honored that you accepted to be part of this interview, this professional discussion, and to tell us a little bit about your work, your focus, your research. And we start about a little bit about yourself, if you want to guide us, please.
Thank you, Felicia. I'm a PhD student in the Carnegie School of Education here at Leeds Beckett University. And my research is exploring parents' experiences of barriers to inclusion of autistic children's education in Nigeria. I'm doing a qualitative study in order to get their experiences about the barriers they face in educating their children.
And how long you been in the UK, Balaraba? How long have you been doing this work?
Yeah, I'm in my third year at the moment.
And what is actually the focus of your research? What did you find out so far? Can you discuss a little bit with us?
Although I'm in the process of analyzing my work, I've gone to the field, collected the data, and interviewed parents, those that have the experience I need, thus of inclusive education in Nigeria now, to be precise. I've discussed with them, I've heard their views, so I'm in the process of analyzing the data, which I don't want to go too further now because I'm still on it.
Absolutely, and we totally understand that. And I think the results is going to be absolutely interesting for us as practitioners, as educators, and also to give us a global overview about what kind of problems are in Nigeria. And on this, on those lines, what inspires? Who inspires in your work? What inspires in your work? Could you detail a little bit?
Yes, thank you, Felicia. The inspiration behind this research has been my personal interest in autism, inclusion in mainstream schools, and the need for parents' voice and participation in their children's education. And this came from my personal encounters, of course, with parents of children with autism when I was a school counselor.
Yes, you talked to me about being a school counselor and how difficult was and how challenging was the job that you did in that as a school counselor.
Yeah, the challenge came mostly from helping children with special educational needs, because I found out that we either lacked the knowledge or we had limited knowledge, on the intervention necessary for those children. And in the course of my work, I've encountered parents, their experiences of sadness, and many have lost hope. And you find out that in the process, the child is left out of school, either hidden in the house or just roaming about the streets because there was no intervention, nobody to support him. The teachers there maybe lacked or had limited, education or the special support to provide. So these are some of the things that propelled me into doing this research, to be able to talk to parents, hear their experience, hear their views. What is it? And in the course of that, some were able to get the awareness they require. Because although we have specialist schools back home, but many parents aren't aware of it. They don't know that, okay, there are special places or specialist institutions to take your child to. Some don't know when to ask for, is it the diagnosis and all that. Like when we were discussing earlier on with Marius, he mentioned, and I like that place where he mentioned the pre-diagnosis, which is also part of my research. After all, the experience, parents' experience goes back to the first time, the initial time, they found out that, okay, there was something wrong with that child, and I look at that as the pre-diagnosis.
Yes.
If we can help parents, during that time, there's the awareness, that's what to look out for. And when you've seen something, because, in the course of my work, I found out that, okay, there were many comparisons. That's the only thing that makes the parent, aware that, okay, this child is different, So what are other things? How do you know? Then, okay, when you've seen those differences, then what's the next step? What do you do after that? That's another thing again to look into. Okay, when you've gone to the specialist, gone to the hospital, your child has been diagnosed, then what comes next? Some are still stuck there, Like from what I'm saying now is in the pre-diagnosis, some parents are stuck, with the experience. They don't go further. Then during the diagnosis or after diagnosis, they are still stuck because they don't know what to do next. And some that are aware, okay, this is what I should do, they are still stuck or confused. That's when we get the confused. Parents get so confused on how to handle the situation because it's a whole new, situation for them. So that's what my research hopes to delve into.
That's very, and for people who listen to us, is just you made a referral to Marius. Marius de Klerk is our deputy interim CEO at PAGS. We have this fantastic platform that actually, this is what you just quoted before, that can be helped in the pre-diagnosis phase, in the diagnosis when the child has already been diagnosed, and in the post-diagnosis when you have the diagnosis and you have the report, what are you going to do next? So our PAGS, which they can find us on www.pagsprofile.com. That's my Wi-Fi connecting. You can find more information about who we are and who is behind the platform and what the platform entails. Because not only that identifies the problems, identify the gaps in development, but also deliver solutions. Solutions will be validated strategies, clinically validated strategies that could be implemented, monitored, and mastered, that will boost the child psychological well-being and also their academic performance. And by saying that, and perhaps you already answered to this question, what does inclusion mean to you? Because inclusion means to different people, different things. So specifically for you, what does inclusion mean to you?
Yeah, as I said, inclusion to me is for a child to be able to access and only enjoy all the benefits that a school has to offer. Thus, to him as a bona fide student of that institution. And not just getting access to those benefits, but having the sense of belonging to that environment as okay, he feels welcome, which I think, were some of the problems, I encountered during my work. First, the parents maybe did not feel welcome, when they brought in their children. Why? Because the child is different.
Mm-hmm.
So the child needs to get this feeling of inclusion, not to be excluded in many things. Okay, feel welcome. I'm in this environment, I'm welcome. I'm in this environment, I feel a sense of belonging. I don't feel different. Although I got different needs, but the general thing is I feel this sense of belonging. I don't have to be afraid of going to school in the morning. I don't have to be scared, of joining a group. That's how I see inclusion.
That's wonderful, and it's a really nice explanation. And you mentioned that you have a passion for understanding and developing more practice and research into the autistic spectrum. Why that?
Because I see that, as we know, autism is a developmental disorder that is presented in a range of spectrum. And it's, because of that, the symptoms ain't physical as other disabilities. That's the physical disabilities. As in, okay, you see this one, okay, this one is visually impaired, or this one is, physically challenged in one part of the body or whatever, that one already gives you awareness, or the has already placed in your mind the type of intervention you need to give to that child. But for an autistic child and other children with neuro developmental disorder, for them to function well in a society, there's need for a specially tailored program for them, which they need. And this comes not just for the parents, but for the specialist again. Who is the person handling this? This is where this research comes into effect.
That's a really fantastic insight, and your passion, your commitment in making the strategies and the neurodiverse community a better place. And perhaps this also is embraced into this awareness. Are you going to do, what are your plans of increasing the autism awareness and intervention? How do you see that for the African countries?
Yeah, because I'm part of them, and that's what really propelled me to go into this research. Because I tell people that I was part of that pack, of people without autism awareness or information. Before coming here, I never bothered to look up anything ASD or autism. I was just there. I know there were people around me that needed the support, but I never gave any thought about them until I had this encounter with a parent who needed intervention or support, or not even support. She wanted to enroll her child in a school, but there was a problem. Why? One, she lacked awareness. If not, she could have told them or known that her child was autistic before coming. And that should have, given her options on where to take the child to. But she had no awareness. That's on her own part as a parent. Then the school, again, the school had no awareness of the child's condition. And that really affected the woman. She left, not satisfied. She left, downcasted. And at the end of the, several years later, I found out that the child was out of school because she couldn't go further. From that first school she took the child, she couldn't go further to seek for help. And nobody told her that, okay, your child was autistic. So, and, another thing again that shaped the culture I came from is the tradition. That again has, a great impact on people's understanding of autism. Because unlike the Western culture here, the perception around it is biomedical. They have more influence on ASD. Whereas from my culture, it's more of spiritual. If you're not careful, they might tell you that your child is cursed, or maybe one of the ancestors, was cursed, and that's what brought about this. So many things around autism that we need to fight. That's why I said, autism awareness is very important. to get intervention, there should be an awareness.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you explain it so beautifully, and also is so important about the cultural differences, as you said. And what is your understanding about assessments in the world of special needs?
Yeah, assessment is carried out to ascertain the child's needs and the special help he or she might require. You know, like from what you're doing in PACS, you will know the level of the child, to work with the child. Of course, you have to know the level. What is that intervention the child requires? And for instance, in Nigeria, because my research is about parents over there in Nigeria, that's why I refer to Nigeria a lot here. In Nigeria, school professionals are usually the first to inform the parent about their child's condition, or they are first to see that the child needs help. Because the parent might not look out for some signs or symptoms in the child, even when the symptoms were there. And why? It takes us back to the culture I told you about. Based on that culture, there might be same things, but will not voice out, will not look for help until the child enrolls in a school. And then the professional brings the parent into that awareness that, okay, this child needs special support. And sometimes it doesn't stop, it stops at that. The parent might decide to just take the child off the school and takes them back home, and that's all. But others follow the advice, of the school. Okay, seek intervention, go to a hospital, go to a specialist. So that's how it's been done there. And it's an individual thing. It's an individual thing. It's not a situation where, when you enroll or when you go to the Ministry of Education, they will say, okay, there's an assessment for this, there must be an assessment for this child. No, it's not done like that. It's an individual thing. And that's the barriers, one of the barriers we're facing, because it's left to the parent to seek support. It's left to the parent to seek diagnosis. It's all on the parent. And it also depends on the school. Sometimes the teacher might overlook the symptoms and the signs, and say, okay, it's a normal thing, maybe this child, that's if the teacher too is is directed or is influenced by culture. The teacher might not think outside the box as, oh, there's more to this. No, they would just take it as, okay, maybe the parents aren't serious, or this, that, and it stops there. So that's the thing.
Wow, and you already made some recommendations in here of to find this appropriate educational provision. And yeah, I could see that your thesis is going to have quite an impact if you manage to publish it. So it would be really something that people will look. And we already made a referral to the belonging to the society. So in the light of discussing about the assessment and having a digital solution that will actually bring everyone together, the team around the child, PAGS works best. PAGS as a platform, as a cloud-based tool, works best when everyone participates and then collaborates and share that information around the child. So good thing with PAGS, as you just mentioned before, is the fact that everyone in best interest of the child, they will look at the same information, they will look at the same assessment, they will collaborate to look at what is the best strategy and what is the best intervention plan to go forward. So not only that, what we lack sometimes is just, as we discussed it before, we get a diagnosis, and then what is happening to the child? What is actually the next step? What is the solution to their needs? How do we meet their needs? How do we adapt the instructional level that comes in the school? Or how do you adapt our home environment, because our home environment could be different, to teach those skills that are missing. So PACS is not identifying what the problem is and where the child is developmentally, but also will say, okay, to cover this gap, you're going to do, this is the intervention plan, and these are the set of exercises and the recommendation that you follow. And it's so personalized because each child is different. The condition is different. The autistic spectrum condition is different. And MAPACS works not only with one diagnosis, works with every diagnosis, and more with even with undiagnosed, because being not a diagnostic tool is actually, you are able to do a screening, as we already discussed, pre-diagnosis, diagnosis, and post-diagnosis. So PACS works in any of these stages. And I end up in here with everybody who listens to this. If is interested to book a demo with us, you can find us on www.pacsprofile.com. I'm here, I'm Felicia Gibson. I would be very happy to give you a tour to understand what the tool can do for you and for your family as a parent, as a professional, how can you enhance and digitalize your work, and as a school, how can you improve your teaching and learning, and also reducing the workload of the teachers and upskilling the teachers at the same time. And Balaraba, if the public would need more information about yourself and about the thesis when it's ready, they could find you. That is the email address that you're happy to share with us. And then that's my email address if they would wish to reach out to us for a demo or to find out more information. Is anything else that you would like to add for the public?
No, just to thank you and say PACS is really doing a great work. And I'm happy to be associated with you.
Thank you ever so much. We started this by opening this PACS portal with any professional can join, any professional with experience in the special needs education, and this option is still there and is free for the parents, is free for the professionals to add their work into this PACS portal. So by saying this, thank you so much, Balaraba, for agreeing to be part of this professional discussion / interview. And I'm looking forward to a follow-up.
Thank you, Felicia.